Hello. Thank you for joining me today. It means a lot to me. So I wanted to make a video talking about I would perceive it as, or explain it as, a problem that I'm dealing with, that I have been dealing with over the past 2 years. Something that I'm not particularly proud of, go in and out of being ashamed with it, and that's my anger. It first came to sort of recognition and became quite prominent about 2 years ago, as I began embarking on this journey of self-improvement, personal development. It seemed quite odd to me at first because I was working on myself and I thought, well, why is it that I'm not managing to shift out of this state that is not seen as kind of optimal and is a place where, to be my best self, I don't want to be angry. And it's been quite the journey. I feel like it's become quite prominent, also due to me embarking on a sort of life out of the system, which is I'm trying to build something that's quite challenging, lots of risks involved, lots of unpredictability, and these are all things minus challenge that I'm not really used to, and so sometimes feel quite stressed about, quite anxious about, but also learning a lot from it. I'm also in a relationship now and I have a son, so there's 2 other people in my life that are dependent on me, that I'm interacting with, and so that poses a massive challenge, because I can't be as selfish anymore. So a lot happening for me, a lot of external things in my environment that are very different to what I'm used to, but I am working on it. And recently, about a year ago, it's really bad. Recently, not just aware, or not just remaining aware, but also being active about changing, really just working on it and trying to be consistent, and trying to think from a partner's perspective, from anyone else's perspective, how it makes them feel when I'm angry. My anger is definitely rooted from my childhood, the trauma that I experienced, the household that I was in. My parents were arguing all the time. There's a lot of chaos in my house, in my home. I never felt quite safe. I was quite scared of the world. I was blamed a lot for things. I was shamed for things. I was lied to a lot. A lot of expectations that I didn't meet were put on me. A lot of criticism. I never felt good enough. I still don't always feel good enough, which I feel is a massive reason why anger ensues. Anger erupts, surfaces. I feel attacked. I feel like I'm very sensitive, and I feel like sometimes I receive criticism even though it's not criticism, and that's a big trigger for me. But a lot going on in my childhood. I know also that anger runs on my dad's side of the family and the men of the family, kind of down generation to generation, so a lot going on there. yeah, it's tough sometimes. It's challenging for me and it's challenging for my partner. My son hasn't received, I would say, anger, if I'm honest, from me. He's still very young. He can't talk yet. So I'm trying to kind of release as much anger as possible before he gets a bit older, before he gets aware. Of course, probably picking up on my central nervous system. His central nervous system maybe getting a bit dysregulated. But yeah, I just want to pass it through, and I want it to be out in the open now that this is something that I'm dealing with. Maybe if you're watching, you can resonate. Just maybe want you to know that you're not alone. If this sounds a bit like you, sometimes I feel alone, but you know, I found other people who are dealing with what I'm dealing with, and it's super useful for me. Yeah, it's interesting that this anger has arisen, and I wasn't really aware of it until the past few years. I was always such an agreeable person, never challenged anyone. I think the life that I was leading was comfortable for me, and I was always kind of in the back, not really speaking up. And now that I'm speaking up, I feel like this fire inside me that sometimes just wants to explode, and so much expression, so much self-expression that I wasn't able to release growing up because I was always told to shut up, or I always just kept quiet because I was afraid to speak up. So yeah, trying to find ways to express myself, to release. I think this is why I erupt sometimes, because I don't express myself in more kind of creative and acceptable ways. But yeah, I'd like to do another video about kind of ways in more depth that tools that I'm using to deal with the anger. Maybe talk a little bit more about the anger in more depth, in more detail. But yeah, if you can resonate, drop a comment down below, or just drop a comment down below in relation to maybe some trauma that you're healing from, and maybe outlining what the trauma has led you to today, what it's left you with, and how you're dealing with that. Yeah, so as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.